All right, folks, welcome to our show here. We're running a little behind here tonight. Thanks for joining us here on the SportsTalk with Chris Heidel. Adam and I are here. Matt is somewhere. We don't know where he is. Welcome. It's March 18th, 2024. You want to know why I played that tune? On this day in 1978, the Bee Gees had the top 3 songs.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting there. So we have a great show. I just ran up the stairs here, so I'm a little winded for a minute here. We got some great people coming on tonight. We got coming up at 7:35. Adam, we got the former commissioner of the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Yes,
Mark Gerber will be joining us shortly. And at 8:05, a former pitcher for the Montreal Expos, the Boston Red Sox, the Colorado Rockies, the Giants. Anybody I think he pitched for. Fassero will be joining us. And then around 8:45, our good friend Sean Rash will be joining us here on the show.
And if you guys watch Sports Center this past Saturday, he had the number 1 top flight. Here it is.
Here it is. He made the flying eagle pretty much.
Yes, he did.
Look at that. That's pretty.
It was cool to see. It was cool to see the PBA Tour be the number 1. Had the top play. I was like, how cool was that? I was like, yeah.
Yes, cool. That is pretty cool. And then also I found out the other day, let me see here. We had somebody we had on our show. Let me see here. 1 second. I think I have a video of him. Yeah, here it is. We had this gentleman on, Mike Albee.
10 back. Well, speaking of gorgeous, how about Mike Albee being back on the lanes? How good does his game look? Oh, my goodness. Seriously?
Mike Albee.
Nope.
I know. And he won the Checker Flag Classic or whatever the heck they were doing yesterday.
It was the checkered flag clash.
Well, I texted him this morning because I was watching it I was watching it when I was making breakfast, and I texted him. I said, "Mike, congratulations on your first win since 2004, right?"
Yeah.
And he sent me back. He goes, "Thanks, dude. I appreciate it." He goes, "I'm getting too old for this garbage."
Chris, our first guest, he was around us. He was around to see Mike Albee ball the PBA Tour. He's seen what it's like to see Mike Albee throw a strike.
Yeah, well, let's bring him in, dude.
Yeah, so we've had our first guest tonight. We love to talk professional bowling here on the show. So we've had the current commissioner of the PBA Tour, Tom Clark, on here numerous times. Well, now it's time we have a former commissioner of the PBA Tour joining us, and he's the former CEO of one of the coolest events that you've ever watched. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. The All-American Soapbox Derby every year in Akron, Ohio. So joining us now is former commissioner of the PBA Tour and former CEO of the All-American Soapbox Derby, Mr. Mark Gerber. So Mark, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and talk about what was it like to be the CEO of the All-American Soapbox Derby.
Well, it was the coolest thing in the world, right? So I left the Pro Bowlers Tour in 2000 when I sold it to 3X Microsoft guys. And then I was really involved with youth sports for a long time. We had indoor sports facilities that we owned, indoor soccer, and then skating rink as well. But, really being able to teach kids life skills through sports, has become quite a hobby of mine, and doing that with the Soapbox Derby, where you could teach STEM education and, winning and losing and all the things that go with that is really important. So pretty fun.
Yeah, it seems like you had fun because I saw it on Sports Center a couple of years ago. They had a little segment about it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you brought it back from the dead, pretty much.
Well, we did a lot of hard work, right? And the PBA stuff that I did back in the day really helped pay off. We were on the Kelly and Ryan show, with a number of the champs after the World Championships were held in Akron, and just really proud to support my hometown and really be part of something just like bowling, right? I mean, it's the coolest thing to live in Akron, Ohio, and that you were commissioner of the Pro Bowlers Tour, and then you get to run the Soapbox Derby, which has been around since 1935.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. Let's talk about your former job before the Soapbox Derby, the Professional Bowlers Tour. I was looking. You came on in 1995, and you were telling me on the phone the other day. I asked you a question on the phone about what really happened between the Professional Bowlers Tour and ABC, because that was the home for for 31 years, 32 years with Chris Schenkel and Nelson Burton Jr. and all that stuff. And you were telling me, it started back in 1991 with ABC trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So clear it up a little bit and explain to us, because we're trying to figure out why did it went off the air in 1998 and we were crying,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities to the world today, right? I mean, you're seeing a lot more of this streaming activity. The NBA, all the rights are up for bid, and now you've got Apple TV and Google and YouTube and everybody else bidding for this. And in 1988, we signed a really big contract with ABC. It was a 4-year deal that ended in 1991. And we were getting $200,000 a show. And then in 1992, we got $50,000 a show. And
Wow.
So all of a sudden, my new boss, Mike Connor, came in, and before he even started, he gets hired in October. Before he even starts in 1992, the tour's short $3.6 million. And so, nobody really knew what was going on then. As we tried to, I called it equal sacrifice at the time, where, the players' prize funds went down a little bit. The players had to pay more money for entry fees, and our staff got cut. So by 1995, and I take over in 1995, and we're paying $150,000, in that 1998 that you're talking about, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
The air. So, you put 24 shows on at 150,000, it's $3.6 million. And then you want some of that money to go to prize money too. So you've got to bring in a bunch. And, so the dynamics of the tour changed. And, that's why I give Tom and his team a lot of credit, right? This new Fox deal, it's taken from 2000, from that 1998 to where we were paying all that money to the current Fox deal. I don't know when that was signed, but, 2020, when they started getting real money, for the show, and they can put money into the players', pockets now.
Yeah, because Mark, I was doing a research on it, over the weekend. 1995. It was the 37th year of the PBA. We had 30 events. Okay, 1995. That was from January all the way until December. Because I remember you used to have NBC as the fall tour. That was taken off, and ESPN took over the fall tour, and ABC had some of the summer tour package as well, like maybe 4 or 5 or whatever. And then around the 42nd year of bowling, it went in 2000 when you left. You had 19 events.
Well, so, the tour guy, and it was always the battle, right? How many tour events should you have? Because the players were on, staffs, so they were getting money each week to go bowl. And so when Chris Peters and the team took over, their goal was, we're going to be on ESPN. We're going to put all this money into these prize funds for these 19 events. And that was their choice. And, and by then, I was pretty well gone. And those were decisions that they made for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's some other dynamics that came into play in those years that you and I were talking about the other day. When you talk about NBC, we were selling the commercial time ourselves, just like we did in 1998 and 9 on CBS.
Okay.
And the players weren't happy because Eddie Elias was selling a lot of time on NBC, and he was making a little bit more money than the players thought that he should have.
Okay.
Well, in my opinion, I was an office guy, right? So in my opinion, he was worth every penny because he's the one bringing the sponsors in. And so
he was the founder. He was like George Steinbrenner of the New York Yankees. He's the Yankee. Everybody knew who. You think of bowling, you think of Eddie Alliance.
right.
And that's what's bringing all the money in. And same thing within baseball and other sports. Like you think Jerry Jones, you think Dallas Cowboys.
Right. And so I would say, some of the things where we didn't change quick enough. Eddie was getting older, and then the players weren't too happy about the amount of money he was making. And so it was just like, okay, I won't sell as much. He also represented golfers, Chichi Rodriguez and Fuzzy Zeller, Marlo Thomas, Phil Donahue. And so if your commissions are getting cut on one part of your business and you can sell Chichi Rodriguez and Fuzzy Zeller in their prime, it really became a no-brainer. And then Eddie really didn't teach anybody else the business that we could pass it on. So when I took over in 95, I make the run to New York and, trying to sell this and really trying to learn on the run. And, I'm 64 years old now, but in 1995, I'm 36 years old. Right. So all of a sudden it's like broad shoulders and very excited, right? There was nothing better. I started at the tour in 1983, straight out of college. And, it was always my goal to be commissioner. I just wish the circumstances were a little bit different by the time I took over.
Yeah.
Right. And you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah. So going back to when you were a member of the PBA Tour, you mentioned Mike Connors, and I can remember when he was commissioner, and Joe Antonora. So what was it like? Can you mention Eddie Elias as well? How cool was it to know Eddie Elias, the founder of the PBA Tour?
Well, it's the greatest thing in the world, right? So I started college at a small school near you guys called Shippensburg, and I wanted to be a math teacher and a coach, and that didn't work out. And I quit school after a couple of years and found St. John's University had a sport management program. And while I was off from school, my dad got me in a bowling league, and I was really silly. I bowled 150 games a week, and went from averaging, 160 to over 200, and, get my degree in sport management and get a job with the PBA. And you're like, oh my gosh, like dream come true stuff.
Yeah.
And the first day you show up at the office, and Adam, you're right on target, right? You meet Eddie Elias, you meet Rainey Stitzline, you meet Harry Golden, Harry Smith, Joe Antonora, Chuck Clemens, Bud Fisher, Kevin Shippey, all the legends of the tour. And you're like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. And Joe, so by then Eddie had his own business, and he was our agent, for selling the TV and negotiating contracts and that sort of thing. And Joe was my boss, right? And Joe was really a tough boss. But back in the day, right, when you guys are talking about the standard on ABC, we would go from city to city to city, and those cities never changed, right? You can still recite them today, right?
Peoria, Illinois, Las Vegas, Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
Fort Worth, Texas.
And they were in order, and that never changed.
No.
And then when the money went down on tour in the 90s, then, somebody, let's just say you have to get from, we were doing that west, we were doing the west to east coast, like the golf does.
Yeah,
And you're getting from, let's just say Grand Prairie, Texas leaves the tour. And all of a sudden you got to get from Vegas to Florida in 2 weeks.
Right.
So now now you got to find Edmond, Oklahoma, and then you've got to find New Orleans. And then, okay, so now we're piecing it together a lot differently than, and Joe and his team, Harry Golden, they had those relationships, long relationships with those bowling centers that were just invaluable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Mark, it was like when I was a kid growing up, I learned a lot about geography through bowling on TV.
Yeah.
Because a couple of years ago, I went to Toledo, Ohio to pick up a car.
Sure.
And I crossed the Maumee River.
Yeah.
And right away, I'm thinking, Chris Schenkel, Maumee River.
Yep.
And like, where is the Imperial Lanes?
And it is, I mean, not Imperial's no longer there,
Right.
but the place that they replaced it with is right off the turnpike. So you drove right past one of the PBA Tour sites, right there in Toledo.
Yeah,
right. And I'm thinking, I was like, this is cool. And when I was a kid, like I said, geography was when I grew up watching, and I learned all about. And like the other day on the Weather Channel, they were talking about Peoria, Illinois. I'm like, oh, I missed the True Valley Open.
Dang, that is that was one of the hardest places.
Landmark lanes, landmark recreation center,
yeah. I mean, you can do them all, and it was so great. One of my favorite ones was in Tucson. You had mentioned Adam. Pete Thomas, one of the great bowlers.
Golden Pin Lanes.
Yeah, of all time. And I get the job and Pete goes, I'm not really happy with our contract. You have to come out here. And I'm like, Pete, we have a long-term contract. We're good. He goes, no, you need to come out here in January. And the goal was he just wanted me to come out and play golf with him. And so it was the greatest thing in the world. We had Tucson in the summertime.
Yes.
But it was my one place that I could always get away and go play Tucson National with Pete Thomas. And
Mark, it's called, I grew up in New England, so it's like I can always remember the stop before the TLC every year.
Yeah, Windsor.
Hartford Open. Bradley Bowl. And across the street was the Bradley International Airport. And it's like every time, and it's like for me now, it's like every year I go up to Portland, Maine for the PBA Elite League, and it's like I'm sort of going home since I grew up watching the PBA Tour on ABC Sports, and now at Chris and Matt now, I've traveled all over the country to see the best in the world compete, and it's like as a kid growing up, that was a dream of mine. So now I can say I know everyone on the PBA Tour. I know the current commissioner, Tom Clark. I know everyone on television. And it's like Adam is living a dream. And it's like when I attend the TLC in April, I'm going to see that world famous banner outside.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I'm at the Holy Grail.
Well, that's what I call it. Yeah.
And that's the great thing, right? You get to town and you get to Riviera Lanes, right? I'm a bowler fan. I'm still bowling by the time I start working there in 83. I'm still bowling 150 games a week and, averaging over 200 and playing in the good leagues. And there's some great stories from Riviera, right? Yes. I mean, we had the bomb threat at Riviera.
91.
Yeah. And so, and then, one of my favorite stories, if you guys don't mind, going off script. So the Tournament of Champions was always the best because ABC would host a player champion breakfast, on Saturday morning. But on Friday night, Eddie Elias would bring all the sponsors to town. And so we would go to one of the local country clubs, have dinner, and we would leave at the exact time that we would get there just in time for the position round game, right?
Oh, wow.
And so, you pull up all these cars. We have valet. This is, 80s, 90s. We have valet parking, and I'm just a kid. I mean, this has to be 85 or 86. Mm-hmm. And, I'm 26 or 27 years old. and we get to the door, and our guy did not really negotiate well with the local police and fire departments.
Oh,
So we get to the door, and it's Joe Antonora, me, Eddie Elias, and Chris Schenkel behind me, and the fire marshal waves Joe in, waves me in, and says, "No, you can't go in," to Eddie Elias in Akron.
oh no.
And Joe Antonora turns to me, he goes, "You better, and then the language got really interesting, but you better get your friends and get them the heck out of here." And so, I grab all my friends and we go out the front door, and then there's a side door that we can sneak in. I sneak them back in, and then I have to buy some beers for the night. But, can you imagine telling Eddie Elias and Chris Schenkel that they can't come in a bowling center?
No. I would be like, do you guys know what you just did?
Right,
I mean, these two are like Hall of Famers. They're legends. And it's like, you're saying no. It's like, I mean.
It was on purpose,
I would, if I was a fire marshal, I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. But Mark, Matt and I had a chance to go to Riviera Land just a couple of years ago, and we forgot there was a snowstorm coming to the East Coast where we live here in Maryland. Gosh. And Matt, tell them the story that we get done with the whole thing. It's done on Fox. We got a chance to talk to Belmo and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm going out the same time you are too.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt comes to me and goes, "It's snowing outside." I'm like, "Okay, we'll be fine. We'll drive home. It's okay."
When I said to Chris,
take the story. Go ahead.
When I said to Chris, I said, "Chris, it's snowing outside." He's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "No, it's like snowing. It's laying." He's like, "Oh, okay." And so I waited for maybe about 15, 20 more minutes. I said, "Chris, you want to come out here and look real quick? The whole entire ground is covered in snow." And he's like, maybe we should head out." So to make a long story short, we went ahead, and first of all, when we were in Ohio, I don't know why they don't plow the highways, but they did not plow any of the highways. I was going very slow because I can understand the back roads, side roads, they weren't plowed. That's understandable. But the main highways were not plowed at all. And so we were just driving as carefully as we could. And there was already, I would say, about a couple inches on the ground, okay, at least. And so we were driving. I was driving in this and stuff and everything. And I don't like driving in snow as it is. And so I was just making sure that we were driving, making sure both of us were careful and all that, because there were still cars that were driving on the highway. Of course, they weren't driving fast, but so we were driving. And then once we got to PA, boom, roads were clear. It was all clear sailing from there.
We came there without jackets, right? We were not expecting snow that day. And my wife is in a dress and I'm in my coat and tie. And, we go out in the parking lot and we're going to meet some guys to go to have a drink or food or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
As long as the weather is nice when I come in.
You should be okay. April.
Well, we got the snow today. We got, it snowed yesterday and today. All of a sudden.
Tomorrow's the first day of spring, so it's like I hope the weather is nice when it's called. I leave for Akron 5 weeks Wednesday, and then on Thursday I actually have some friends of mine, Mark, who are flying in. I think it's Sunday, and they're gonna be there all week, and they live in Massachusetts, and normally I go with them to Portland, Maine every year for the PBA Elite League. So this is the first time we've all gone to.
Well, we're looking forward to welcoming you to our town.
Thank you.
I've lived within a few miles of Riviera my whole time I've lived here.
Cool.
You're staying a couple miles away. right across the street from your hotel is the Town Tavern, where
Yes, I've looked at that. I've
which is
I've looked at the menu.
which
Good food, so I'll probably go there once or twice while I'm there.
yeah, I mean that's an easy one to walk across the street, and then there's we have every chain within a half mile of your hotel.
So I'm flying in Wednesday. I'll be there. I'll be there all day Thursday, and then Friday morning, me and my friends are going up to Cleveland to go see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then we don't know if we're going to the Hall of Fame dinner or not. It's called. We don't know if there are any seats available, but we are attending the PBA Elite League competition that Saturday, and of course the TLC on Sunday.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, so
looking forward to being in person.
It'll be an awesome time. You'll have a great time.
And Mark, is it okay if I give you your phone number to him just in case if he needs help out there or if something happens?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Mark.
I don't give out phone numbers until I ask somebody, because I think it's rude for people.
That's fantastic. I mean, you guys were talking about Albee before. The problem for me at the TFC now is everybody's done, right? I mean, PD's last year,
I've met Pete Weber.
Is Parker, is Parker going to bowl? Is Chris going to bowl? I mean, Sean, congratulations to Sean later on your show. Bill O'Neill. I mean, I'm getting down there to not many of the guys. I mean, 2000 was 24 years ago.
I know that, Mark. I know.
It's a long time since I've been involved, but this new regime of Tom and his team, they're very respectful and they're very nice to me. So
they do. They're nice to us too, and we just have to work on trying to get the media passes with them because I guess they don't have a lot of people anymore, or I don't have no idea.
If you need help getting in, I know all the back doors. I just walk in.
So. Cool. Thank you, Mark. Now I know. Now I know when I get there on Thursday. Thank you.
All right, Mark, we're up against the clock here, but thank you so much for coming on tonight and keep in touch.
Chris, can I just ask Mark a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt, real quick.
Mark, what's it like being what was it like being the commissioner of former commissioner of the PBA Tour?
Well, imagine this, right? I mean, you're 36 years old when you get named commissioner. Holy cow. And I love David Stern and Adam Silver. I'm a big NBA guy. And so I just treated it like I did for them. It was a little bit different because, I would take the 5:50 flight in the morning. I would take the bus into the city and we would stay across from Marriott Marquis, but, it was great, right? I mean, there was nothing better in my life than being commissioner of the PBA. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
That's cool.
Thanks, you guys.
Well, have a great evening.
I'll see you in a few weeks in Akron.
Sounds great. Thanks, Adam. Bye, Chris.
All right,
thanks.
see you later.
Bye,
Mark.
man.
See you. And Mark Gerbriff, who's the former commissioner of the Professional Bowlers Tour and the Soapbox 30, and the guy who runs Akron. So if you need anything, Adam, he's your man.
Thank you. I will. Thank you, Chris. It's, and you can give me Mark's phone number. So he's called there.
We'll do that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Before we bring in our next guest, Matt and I, we have to play real quick. We have some clips here. We were down in D.C. on Saturday night when North Carolina State won the ACC Men's Basketball Championship, and Matt, that experience on Saturday was pretty cool.
Oh, it was definitely the Wolfpack were definitely running wild on the court.
Yeah, they just ran me over, Adam. You know the running of the Bulls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 games in 5 days in NC State. I still don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Well, Adam, I'll tell you how they did it. They had an unbelievable amount of determination, grit, and tenacity. Every single as every single game progressed, they got stronger. And
Right.
that doesn't happen, especially when you're on your fourth game. Okay, you should not be as strong as what they were, but they were. They just kept on getting stronger. And then for their fifth game, I mean, here, Adam, I mean, they went ahead and North Carolina shot a 3-pointer to take the lead at halftime. And the majority of teams would have gone ahead and of maybe deflated in the second half. What did they do? They came out like a pack of wolves, okay, and just went ahead and just steamrolled the Tar Heels. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
And of
So
course,
let's play
you
real
guys
quick
know that I
before we
am
bring
a
our
Tar
next
Heel
guest.
fan, so it's like, yeah, but Chris, let's transition from March Madness because in 10 days' time, it's time to play ball.
Right, exactly. So let's bring in let's do our interview. This is live right on the court with Coach Kevin Keats, who actually we'll have the commissioner of the CAA on here shortly. He is the alumni. He actually coached North Carolina Wilmington to 3 back-to-back CAA titles, so he knows about going to the NCAA tournament. So here's Matt and I talking to him right after during the celebration.
UNC prides themselves on bringing the fight to the game. You guys seem to bring the fight tonight.
Listen, unbelievable program. They've done a tremendous job. We knew that coming in. We knew that they've got some really good players. Our guys were focused. We needed it. We knew we were hungry. We didn't want to leave it to chance that there may not be an opportunity to play in NCAA. And I thought we stepped up really big.
When you were growing up watching this tournament, did you ever think you would win this tournament?
You know what? I dreamed of it. I grew up in Virginia. I remember going to tournaments in baseball. I remember Maryland. It's just a special moment, man. Like I told you, it's been so emotional for me. And to do it the way we did it. Nobody wins 5 games. It's weird because it seems like we got a little stronger in the second half every day.
Do you know how to cut down the net? When's the last time you ever did that?
Yeah, I've won a couple championships at UNCW. 3 of them, just so you know.
Hey, Coach.
Just to be clear, but I'm number 1 here, and that's what I want to do with this game.
You're 2 DJs.
Hey, Coach, what do you want down in Wilmington now to here? Your road trip from going from the CAA all the way up to the ACC.
Say the first part. I'm sorry.
Okay, coming from the CAA to Wilmington, the Seahawks, all the way up to here. Which one's the best one tonight?
No, I think all of them are special, man. I've been fortunate to coach a bunch of kids. This one is special because here at NC State we haven't done it in 37 years. So I'm so grateful for it, and I'm blessed. I get a chance to do this, and it's a great opportunity. And our kids really stepped up and did a great job.
What about your 2 DJs?
Man, my 2 DJs are special. It's transfer portal, so I got to figure out how to get those guys to come back a year. I'm gonna do a couple waivers, but I can't say enough about them and every kid in this program.
How does this feel being the 10th seed and the ACC champions?
That's what it feels great. It feels great. To do it the way we did it, I don't know that anybody would ever do it the way we did it. It feels great. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you here in a minute.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's Coach Kevin Keats right after everybody won the taking down the nets and all that stuff. So Matt and Adam, I see you wearing a Red Sox hat here.
Yeah, because our next guest played with the Red Sox, so it's like I have to.
You want to bring them in?
Sure. That's called, folks, Major League Baseball season is just right around the corner. And our next guest, he played with the Red Sox, played with the Texas Rangers, the Colorado Rockies, among many teams. And he has faced some of the best players of all time in Major League Baseball history since the pitcher. So let's bring in former Major League pitcher, Jeff Fassero. So Jeff, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And obviously, I am a Red Sox fan. So what was it like to play with the Red Sox and play at legendary Fenway Park?
Anytime you got to play at a legendary ballpark, it was a great place to play.
there's a lot of history in Boston. So playing for the Red Sox, playing in that city, it's everybody knows who you are, for sure. With that, it's exciting because you're going to go to the ballpark and have a sellout every night when you're there. So I enjoyed it. It's one of my top cities that I played in.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that you bounced around, but you came up. You got drafted by St. Louis, but you were in the farm system for a very long time until the Expos figured it out and said, "Hey, you want to come up to the big leagues?" What was it like playing in Montreal around 1991, 92 when you guys were? That city was a great baseball town, and I think the strike of '94 completely ruined everything.
Yeah, the strike absolutely ruined that team because that team in '94 is, at the time had the best record in baseball, and we were on a roll right when we went on strike. Big disappointment that we didn't get to finish that season. I'm going up to Montreal in about a month. They're having a 30th reunion for that '94 team. I think there's going to be about 18 of us that were on that team that are going to be up there.
Oh, that's cool.
I love the city. I've been back there a couple times. We took our kids up there for Christmas a few years ago so they could see it. Couldn't get into this because they were all little when we played. Our daughter wasn't even born when I was in Montreal.
Right.
Couldn't get into Olympic Stadium though; they had it closed down.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow on the roof, so you couldn't. They didn't want to take any chances of anybody getting hurt in there.
Yeah. But what was it like being in Montreal? Because it seemed like because I grew up watching Gary Carter, I enjoyed Gary Carter. I know he went to the Mets, and I'm a big Met fan because I'm from Long Island. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, but it seems like they couldn't keep the big name stars in Montreal. It was like they try to keep Gary Carter there, and Gary Carter's price tag got a little too high. And same thing with the Hawk, Andre Dawson, and he had to go off to the Chicago Cubs, and it's like. It seems like once they had somebody a big name player like Larry Walker and Andres Galarraga, they had to get rid of them, because they couldn't afford them. And it seems like, if they just had a better market value and better like what Tampa Bay is doing right now, they could still be here.
Yeah, I mean the biggest problem I think for Montreal was the Canadian dollar to the U.S. dollar. They had to pay in U.S. dollars, and they're only bringing in Canadian dollars, so that wouldn't be the best. That wasn't the best scenario for them. But I think that's where they got hurt with free agents and people leaving. They just couldn't match the price tag because of the exchange rate.
Exactly. Matt, you got a question for Jeff?
Yes, Jeff. So two questions. First question, what was it like playing against your rivals, New York Yankees, and what was it like playing at Yankee Stadium?
I mean, there's another. I'm just glad I got to play in the old stadium, not the new one they have now. Because I got to play where the history was, where they had the monuments and stuff. That is a major rivalry. There is no love lost between them and the Red Sox. And it gets pretty heated at times too. Just during the game. I mean, we could walk out there and talk to anybody on that team the next day, and it's not that. But as soon as you get between the lines, the heat is on between those two. There's definitely no love lost right in there. But it's fun. I mean, playing in rivalry games is always fun. I got to do it with St. Louis and Chicago, both ways too. I played big leagues with both of them. So, one year you're loved by the Cardinals, one year you're hated by the Cardinals, depending on which uniform you're wearing, Cubs, Cardinals. I didn't do that with Boston and New York. I only was in Boston, so I only know that as a baseball player, I was a hated person when I was on the field in New York.
And what was it like playing in the old stadium with all the history?
I mean, it's just like when you walk into a stadium like that for the first time, you go, God, I'm walking on a field where Lou Gehrig played, Babe Ruth played. And you start thinking about the history. You actually think about the history of baseball, not just like what's going on now in the moment, and you go you go in, I went in early because the first day because I wanted to walk around and see the monuments and enjoy them. So that was what my goal was going into New York. I mean, it's the same thing Fenway. First time I walked into Fenway as a visitor for the Mariners, I went out to the wall, went inside the wall, walked up into the scaffolding and stuff that they had in there, and checked it all out. I did the same thing in Wrigley Field when you go out there to the scoreboard and go inside it and look around it. The history of baseball. I mean, I grew up loving baseball, so when you go into these stadiums that have been around since the early 2000s, it's just great places to go.
Yeah, and it's like I can remember when you were at the Expos, you actually played at old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium against the Atlanta Braves. So, what was it like to pitch, at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium against the Braves?
I mean, pitching there, it was a big ballpark. It was a pitcher's friendly ballpark. It was down. The humidity kept the ball in the park. They had pretty lush grass, and being a sinker ball pitcher like I was, it was a great place to go pitch. At that time, they were the team to beat all the way through the 90s. So, I mean, it was always a challenge to go down there and compete with them. And, when you got Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz, for sure. And then they had, Avery was around at times.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you always had those three guys you had to worry about. But, I mean, it's another old stadium, and you think about it, you go in there, you go, okay, this is where Hank Aaron broke the record of Babe Ruth, and you think about those things, because that was something I saw on TV.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, now, who was the toughest hitter that you ever faced?
The toughest hitter or the toughest out? Toughest out was Robbie Alomar.
Okay.
He has the best numbers.
I remember him.
Yeah.
He was a member of the Blue Jays, and I mean, so I know that you were around when Barry Bonds was around.
Yes.
When he played for the Pirates,
he was with the Pirates.
So when you saw Barry Bonds, on the on deck circle, were you like, oh, I hope I don't have to face him since he could hit a homer off of me, or maybe a ground rule double?
No, I mean, there was never anybody I was afraid to face. I always looked at it, that's one-on-one, me against you. That's a big challenge, and, you want to step up to the plate for that. And I'm pretty happy with my numbers against Barry Bonds. I mean, I think I threw to him, over the course of my career, somewhere in the 40 to 50 times, and I only gave up 2 home runs to him. So
wow.
I can say, he wasn't somebody I was afraid of.
And also, you probably faced in your time. You also probably faced Mark McGwire. So
only one time.
Okay.
I only faced Mark McGwire one time in my whole career.
Wow.
And I struck him out. So
nice. Congratulations, Jeff. Cool.
Yeah.
So obviously you played when the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, came in to the major league. So what was it like, to play with the Rockies, in that high altitude?
It was different. I mean, when the first time we played the first game against them when I was in Montreal. We opened their stadium up there at Mile High, and at that time I believe I was still in the bullpen. So, it's easier out of the bullpen. I'll put it that way. You're going to go in, you could just come in and throw your fastball, and I would throw a fastball, a forkball. I didn't really use a slider because it wasn't as tight in that atmosphere. But you could see balls that aren't hit good and just watch them fly out of the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I watch a Rockies game now, and it's like, I mean, I can remember, Mile High Stadium when the Rockies played there, and also now with Coors Field being there, it's like, I mean, Coors Field is an incredible stadium. It's a stadium I'd like to go to one day. So, so talk about, when you played in the major leagues, then compared to what you see now.
As far as how the game is,
Yeah.
the game is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually have a game on in the background right now. I'm watching the Astros and Nationals
Spring training, yeah.
preseason, because I'm just now starting, because the season's getting closer.
Yeah.
All the guys have started getting sent down, so I'll start watching the games now a little bit. I just think there's been so many rules changes and stuff that goes on, but I'm kind of glad to see some of the stuff's going back. Like, they're forcing the pitchers to get on the mound, they're keeping the batters in the batter's box. I wasn't. The shift didn't matter to me. I mean, if the guys can only hit the ball on one side of the field, that's their problem. That's not the defense. If the defense is going to go play there and they can't make an adjustment, that's just, you're not that good a hitter. And I mean, I played with guys. I said, if you put a shift on Tony Gwynn, he would just pepper the ball the other way all day long. Delano DeShields would go the other way. Back when I played, you couldn't shift as much. So I think they penalized the pitcher for when they took the shift away. Because now you're letting him hit it where he wants to hit it without any consequences. I mean, we had shifts back when I played. They weren't as egregious as they are now, but we had them. I'm not sold on the larger bases. I haven't figured out what that does yet. But I mean, I can understand making first base where it would be half of it would be like they do in softball in foul territory, so they can run across there. But the other bases, I don't and they made the bases bigger, but they didn't help the pitchers out. They didn't make home plate bigger.
That's true.
Well, what about the extra inning rule? Well, how do you feel about that? Putting a free runner on second base.
The stupidest thing ever invented.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you, Jeff. I agree.
It's great. It's great for minor league baseball, because in minor league baseball you can't, like, if you use 4 or 5 extra guys and you don't have them for tomorrow, you can't call somebody up from another team.
That's true.
Where in the big leagues, if they know they're going into extra innings and they have to play games, they'll call. I was coaching in AAA. I'll call down. You can't use this guy. You can't use this guy because we're going to have him tomorrow because we're going to be out of pitching. So, I mean, I think in the big leagues that's stupid. As a fan, I pay my money to see a game. I'm not paying to see something where they're going to.
True. Yeah. And so is there one stadium that you wish you could have pitched at that you never did?
No, I pitched it in all the stadiums that were available or that were around when I did. I mean, I haven't seen like the Cardinals' new stadium, Mets' new stadium, Yankees' new stadium. I didn't pitch any of the modern stadiums. Like Miami, I didn't pitch in, haven't seen or pitched in that. They didn't pitch in that one. But no, I liked every one that I saw. There's a couple that came in new that I didn't like. I didn't like San Diego's new one at first.
Okay.
I love their old stadium.
Yeah, Jack Murphy Stadium. It's kind of, I can remember, having the, the bullpens down, one down the right field side, one down the left field side, and it's like, if someone hits it there, that is in play, and it's like you have to. It's called if you're a fielder, in the infield or outfield, it's called. You have to remind yourself there's a pitcher's mound here, so I could trip over that and fall, and it's like, So you mentioned Tony Gwynn, and I can remember when Tony Gwynn played for the Padres. So what was it like to be around a legendary player like Tony Gwynn?
My first game I ever had to pitch in, I had to face him, and it was like It wasn't, and it was an extra inning game, so it wasn't.
Wow.
That was like, you want the challenge, but I will say, the first game I ever pitched, and I was at the big league level, I was nervous.
Wow.
And it was Gwen McGriff, and
with Crime Dog. Wow.
who else was in there? I don't know. I pitched 2 innings against them. I went through the bottom of the order, got them out. Then I gave up a single. They bunted, and then Tony Gwynn got a hit, and they got a run, and we didn't score a run in the bottom of the 9th. It was our bottom of the 14th. It was in Montreal, but it was fun. I mean, like I said, when you get to face Hall of Famers or guys you know are going to be a Hall of Fame, that's fun.
Oh, I believe it.
challenge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Well, Jeff, I have a question to ask you. Sorry, I had to go downstairs to take care of something here. I was reading about you. You were picked up by the Colorado Rockies, one year, and there was something that happened that they called you up and said you want to do a spot start, but it said to you weren't ready to go. What happened there?
No, I was up the whole season.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like, I was in the rotation. They took me out for Francis.
Okay.
And the Cardinals were coming into town at that time, and I hadn't pitched in 19 days. I was just sitting in the bullpen, not pitching. And they called me and wanted me to start, and I said, I'm not going to start against the Cardinals because, I mean, I haven't thrown a ball I haven't pitched in a live game in 19 days. You've set me down in the bullpen, haven't used me. I just said, I know the reason, but I'm not going to say why the reason I didn't pitch. And it had nothing to do with the coaching staff or anything like that. It was.
Yeah, because I saw when I was doing the research, and that was on the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh,
they wanted to protect Francis. They didn't want Francis to get his beat up by them. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
Now, Jeff, is that your old Montreal Expos jersey behind you?
That's my rookie jersey.
Wow. Nice. Cool. Nice.
Rookie jersey, rookie glove.
Dude, cool.
I have my first win ball and first save ball in there.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, I do have one more question to ask you. Playing in the American League and National League, it's all this interleague stuff. What is your favorite ball? I don't know if you answered this question already because I was downstairs. Yeah. What was your favorite ballpark, and what was your least favorite ballpark? I know a lot of people had problems with Shea Stadium because of the airplanes going over, and you're like, what? You can't hear the 747s and all that stuff. What was your favorite place to pitch in? Least favorite.
Favorite place to pitch in? I would have to say Jack Murphy because that's where I had the most success.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And least favorite place to pitch, I would say Cincinnati Reds old stadium.
Oh, Riverfront Stadium.
Riverfront.
Riverfront. Yeah. Nice.
It wasn't a very, very good stadium at the time. The new stadium's better.
Yeah.
I'll have to agree. Yeah.
I would say I could also said when I first went to Tiger Stadium, that was out of all the historical stadiums, that was kind of a disappointment.
Oh, it was.
It was ready to come down.
You walked in here, you're like, what is this hole in the wall doing here?
Yeah.
Geez, really? Yeah, that's crazy. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate you, coming on, and what do you do? What are you doing now besides talk about your career? Are you still coaching? Or are you?
I do some private lessons, some high school kids and some college kids once in a while, and play a lot of golf.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
That's cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Do it the retired life.
Keep on, and we'll talk to you down the road. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. See you.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. That's Jeff Fassero, who was the pitched for the Expos and the Red Sox and everybody in between. So who was that guy who pitched for? I think it was Dotel was the guy who pitched for everybody.
Dotel.
Yeah, he pitched like every franchise there is. Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I think so. I think he had 32 teams. He pitched for 28 of them.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, before we bring in this next guy, we do have some clips from Saturday night's celebration with the Wolfpack. Casey Morcell is a local guy here from Mount Washington, Maryland. And I guess he'll be the only one. Well, besides Howard University and a couple other players, who went to Towson. I didn't know the guy from Towson, Nicholas Timberlake, went to Kansas. That's a Towson guy, Adam.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that until tonight on Twitter. But we had a chance to talk to Casey after the game, and it was a celebration. So here it is, real quick, here on Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. Here it is.
Hey, congratulations, big guy.
Hey, you a different nigga. Hey, come on, you a different nigga in the DMV. Come on, chill, bro. You a different. Chill, bro. Oh, hey, wait a sec. Come on, wait a sec. Oh
Question for you. Being a kid from Maryland, what was it like being in this area playing in the final?
Oh my gosh, it's a phenomenal feeling. I always told the guys, like I said, it's a learning story.
Yeah.
This is a great story, man. DC needed this. Raleigh needed this. Everybody needed this story, man. We're going to build on this. State's going to build on this. Let's keep going.
You have talked so much over the last week about how much this fan base deserves a banner. This fan base deserves the ACC championships. What does it mean to give that to them?
It means the world. We pulled it off. This is a great school. Raleigh's a great city. And man, to pull it off in that fashion, a 10 seed. Come on, everybody better against us. And we pulled it out. Wow, I love it. I love it. I'm happy.
5 games in 5 days. Now you go home, take a nap, and get ready for another 5 days in a row, right?
That's it. We're going to prepare.
Yeah.
We're going to take some time to enjoy this. Throughout this whole tournament, we had such a short memory. You know what I mean? After one win, you have to focus on the next one, the next one, the next one. But now we get to really sit back and really embrace it for a little bit.
Yeah. You make Maryland proud, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate it. How does it feel to be?
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. A little celebration. And Matt, Adam, when I got home Sunday morning at 3, I had confetti stuck on my head, and I thought it was a bug stuck on my head, and I took off my head.
No way.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so do you still have the confetti?
Yeah, confetti was stuck on my Met hat. I didn't realize it.
Well, I didn't even see it stuck on your hat.
I didn't know it was on my head. I took it off. I'm like, I felt like somebody was like throwing on me. I was like,
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you want to bring this next guy in because you guys were best buds last week down at down there in DC for the CA championship. I know that, you ran into this gentleman plenty of times down there. So go bring it in.
Yes, I did, Chris. So, we had the proud. We're going to go ahead and introduce the commissioner of the CAA, Commissioner D'Antonio.
Hey, Commissioner, how you doing?
Hi, Commissioner.
Gentlemen, good evening. Great to see you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Well, it's a pleasure.
First of all, before Matt has all the questions to ask you, I got to ask you about Kevin Keats because we had him in this conference before he went off to NC State. What does it like seeing him being so successful in the ACC?
Well, just a big congratulations to Kevin. I had a chance to see him about a year ago at a retirement gathering for Jimmy Bass, the longtime UNCW athletic director. Had a chance to sit next to him at that event. And, Kevin had a lot of success here in the CAA. He's obviously having a lot of success at NC State, and we certainly wish him nothing but the best in the upcoming NCAA tournament. Great run by them, certainly at the ACC.
It's funny, this past week, Commissioner, it was funny. With Boston College had Earl Grant, who was actually with one of our coaches as well. And I was thinking that would be a cool final, Earl Grant against Kevin Keats. It would be like the old CAA, down in Richmond or down in or Baltimore, one of them. Those two played against each other.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned Earl, another great coach, even a better person, and had a chance to bump into him a couple of weeks ago. He's doing well at Boston College, and we certainly wish him the best as well. Just a great guy.
Yeah. So let's talk about Charleston. They based on the number 1 seed. Towson took them to the wire. Towson had the lead until the last couple minutes of the game. So and then Stony Brook, they came out of nowhere, coming from the American East Conference, and it was fascinating. It was when they played Hofstra in the semifinal, the Battle of Long Island. Yeah, and I'm thinking, I'm from Long Island, so I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Watching the Battle of Long Island.
Well, we had a great tournament. We had a great tournament. Obviously, Charleston emerged as the winner. A lot of close games, a lot of games right down to the wire, as you just mentioned. Charleston did come in as the number 1 seed, and in the end, they proved that they were the best team. But we certainly had some great games, and opportunities were there for a lot of our programs. And I think that just speaks volumes of the parity that we have in the league. There's a lot of great teams at the top, and coming in, it wouldn't have surprised me if any one of those teams, any one of our 14, could have emerged as the winner.
Exactly. All right, Matt, you have all these questions for Commissioner. Go right ahead, big guy. Go ahead.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, guys. So Commissioner, it's always a pleasure to have you on and everything. And the tournament was phenomenal there in DC. And so Charleston went ahead and played San Diego State last year in the NCAA tournament. This year, they're playing against 4 seed Alabama. What would Charleston have to do to win the game?
Well, Matt, they're just going to need to play their style of basketball. It's a tough style. It's a up-tempo style. They can shoot the 3, and they can play very tight defense. And if they can continue to do those things, I think they're going to have a very good chance to win. Obviously, you need shots to fall, and hopefully Rain will continue to remain very hot as he was in the CAA tournament. And if he continues to play like he's been playing, he kind of stirs the drink for them. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for Charleston, obviously, to hopefully have some success here in the NCAA tournament. We're certainly excited to see the game.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see them as well, and especially with what they did. In the last 2 games, against Towson and Stony Brook, and so, which leads me to the Stony Brook question. Stony Brook versus Hofstra, that was an amazing game. 2 minutes and 48 seconds left in the game. It was tied 51 apiece. And then all of a sudden, Stony Brook goes on this 10-0 run with 36 seconds left. It was 61-51. And then Stony Brook went on – Hofstra then went on an 8-2 run to then – they only won by 4 points. So just talk about that last 2 minutes and 48 seconds, because I thought when they went on that 10-0 run, 61-51, I honestly thought the game was over. I did not think that Hofstra was going to cut it down to 4 points with 36 seconds left. That was an amazing, could have been a classic, historic finish.
Well, all of the coaches, Matt, will tell you that basketball is a game of runs, right? In terms of one team gets hot, the next team gets hot, and you certainly saw that, as you just described, in the last 2 minutes of that semifinal game. And give credit where credit is due. Stony Brook was playing probably the best of any team in the tournament, and Hofstra just has had a great season, very well coached, and you saw what they can do at a moment's notice. They knew that their backs were to the wall in an elimination game, and all of a sudden things really heated up, and they cut into that lead pretty quickly. And as you just described, it was a fight to the finish, right to the end.
Yeah, and I was there, as you know, and I just could not believe what I was witnessing. Yeah, they had a 10-0 run, and I thought, okay, maybe they would cut it down maybe by a couple points. But my gosh, and when really, Hofstra had a chance to tie the game up and everything. It was unbelievable. It really, really was. So, but the semifinal games plus the championship game was really just unbelievable. And so, talk about Charleston versus Stony Brook in the championship game. That was another unbelievable game. It was 73-73. It went into overtime. Stony Brook had a chance to win the game, but they didn't, and so they went to overtime. Ultimately, Charleston won 82-79. And just talk about that and the grit, the toughness, the determination that Charleston had to become back-to-back CAA champions.
Well, what you had in that game, Matt, I think in Coach Gino Ford, the head coach at Stony Brook, I think summed it up the night before after their semifinal win when he said, what you're going to see is probably the best team in the league on paper, obviously being Charleston, and the hottest team in the league at that time, certainly being Stony Brook. And it was a heavyweight fight right to the finish. And I just talked about Rain Smith a few minutes ago. I really think that he's what stirs the drink for that team. And when he has it going, which he certainly did on championship night, that's I think that in my opinion is what the difference was. He really came to play. He had some incredible defensive plays, including right at the end where he had a couple of big steals. It's not only what he does in terms of scoring points. He's such a good defender. He's so quick, and he's really good with his hands, just in terms of how he gets his hands in the passing lanes and how he's able to just like cat-like reflexes, get steals, deflect passes, different things. He just has an incredible way to impact the game in so many different styles.
Yeah, and it's just like unbelievable, just like seeing the toughness and grit of every single team in the CAA. It really is. Was just amazing. I mean, to see them just play each and every game and team, well, they really played just with they play their hearts out, and it was just really great to see. And so. Like the women's Drexel, were the champions on the women's side, and they won 68-60. And so and also they play against Stony Brook as well. So Stony Brook had quite a season. Both of their men's and women's basketball teams went into the championship game. So just talk about Drexel has won 2 championships, women's championships in the past 4 years. So talk about their level of success that they've been able to accomplish.
Well, it was kind of the same thing on the women's side. We had a team on paper that was probably our best team, number 1 ranked coming into the tournament in Stony Brook. And then we had a team in Drexel who all of a sudden, both at the end of the season and into the tournament, had emerged as a very hot team. And, the thing with Drexel is that they're so precision oriented in how they run their half-court offense. It's a credit, down the tree from Harry Peretta, who's the former coach at Villanova. All of these coaches are disciples of Harry, whether it's Amy Mallon, whether it's Denise, who's the current head coach at Villanova now, who was the coach at Drexel before she took the Villanova job. They're all disciples of Harry almost, right? They run the Harry type style offense. And just really another heavyweight battle, Matt. 2 very good teams, and Drexel just had a little bit more yesterday. I think that if Stony Brook had to do it again, certainly they didn't have their best shooting day. They had an okay shooting day. It wasn't bad, but they didn't have their best shooting day. And in the end, that was certainly, I think, problematic for them in terms of why they didn't get the victory. But let's give credit where credit is due. You mentioned just what Stony Brook has done as a university coming into the conference. This is, I think, their 2nd year in the league. And for them to be on the championship game on both the men's side and the women's side, I think speaks volumes for their coaches, as well as their administration and the leadership of athletic director Sean Helbrin and the direction that he has the program going right now. So real big credit to them, and certainly a big congratulations to Drexel on having kind of a magical run here in the tournament, the 7 seed coming out the victor.
I think Adam, you
Yeah,
have a question.
I do. I want to switch from the hardwood to the diamond, since now it's getting spring and springtime in softball and baseball, and the CAA is always loaded when it comes to talent and teams, and of course a lot of people are looking at Northeastern that could have a shot to get to Omaha for the College World Series. So just talk about how good is the CAA when it comes to college baseball?
Well, you just mentioned the teams, Adam. It's a very, very strong baseball conference. And as we start to gear up here now for conference play, it's going to be interesting to see who ultimately emerges at the top. I think it's going to be a significant race just to get into the playoffs, right? You have to finish in the top 6 to be in the playoff hunt. And it's going to be a battle to get into one of those top 6 spots. And, you mentioned there's some very talented teams, Northeastern, Campbell, UNCW, Elon. You can go right down the list. I don't want to leave anybody out because any given day we have some really, really great programs. Yeah. It is exciting. I will say this. This is the Camels' first year in the CAA for baseball. Yes. And they're a program that has had a lot of success in the past. Yes. And we certainly anticipate that success is going to continue to bleed into our conference as well. So exciting time for the CAA, and we're certainly excited for the baseball season as it's here upon us now.
And tomorrow night, the Townsend Tigers get to be featured on national television since they go down to Durham to take on the Duke Blue Devils on the ACC network. And of course, yes, I will be watching. It'll be cool to see Coach Shiner and the Tigers on national television. So, so just talk about as we now go into March Madness, your take of the overall basketball season in the CAA.
Well, I think it was a success on both sides, both on the men's side and the women's side. Very, very competitive conference this year. And I think what we saw, probably the biggest difference from last year to this year, was just an increase in parity of very good teams. On the men's side, it was a magical year last year for Charleston. They were knocking on the door of an at-large bid if they hadn't won our championship. So they won the championship last year, so we'll never know if they would have gotten at-large. But they certainly, from a win-loss standpoint and their out-of-conference wins, they just had a magical season. They had a very good season this year, not quite as good regular season as the year they had last year. And I think that was a credit to what had happened in the conference. Just some very good teams. You can just go right down the list. All of our teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where they finished, any one of those teams, including the teams below them, had a very good chance coming into the championship. And then, we just highlighted really what went on this season on the women's side. Some very good programs. Again, I mean, even Towson, on the women's side coming into the tournament, they had a good run, and they could have very easily emerged as a champion as well. So we're just really happy with the quality of play that we had both on the men's side and on the women's side this year. And hopefully as we move into the 24-25 season, we'll continue to grow on that success.
Oh, yeah. So you guys always have some, it's called, when it comes to non-conference action, the CAA never disappoints since they always play some Power 5 teams from the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12. I mean, it's really cool to see, CAA go up against these Power 5 teams from these really big conferences.
And I just have one more quick question. Commissioner, just talk about Stony Brook's success. Both the men and the women got into the championship game, and not only did they get in it, but they played tough, and they both played pretty much close games. I mean, I know with the women's they lost by 8, but still, I mean, it wasn't like it was a blowout. So just talk about Stony Brook's very successful season on both the men's and women's side.
Well, I think you have to give credit to where credit's due, right? Both Gino on the men's side, Ashley on the women's side, and certainly their administration. They've only been in the league for 2 years. They've stepped right in. They've shown that they belong. They have a very competitive program on both sides, both on the men's and women's side, and they had a great tournament. They both, obviously the women had a very, very good regular season. The men had a very respectful regular season, but down the stretch, they were playing the best, if not the best, of any team in the conference, and they bled that right into the tournament. And you saw ultimately what happened with them going on that run to get to the championship game. So it's a great school academically, number one. Their athletic program under Sean's leadership is in really good shape. two very good basketball coaches in Gino and Ashley, and you just got to give them a lot of credit for what they were able to accomplish this year. I know they were disappointed they didn't win either championship. I think anytime you get to that point, certainly you want to take home the trophy, but they have a lot to be proud of coming out of the end of both seasons in men's and women's basketball.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do have to ask you one more question. We'll talk about this down the road because I know Delaware is leaving to go to Conference USA. Is there anybody that you have on your short list to take over Delaware? Because I know Delaware was rivals with Towson. Now Towson's looking for a new buddy to have fun with. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so, Chris, I think you've been doing this long enough to know that we're always looking at membership related matters. We're going to continue to make decisions that are in the best interest of the CAA, both from a sustainable and a competitive level. And I would never say never on anything. So just kind of stay tuned on that. We certainly, Delaware's got one more full season in the conference with us. They're going to finish this season, and then they'll play another full season in 24-25 in the CAA. Certainly, they've been a great member of the conference. We're going to continue to treat them with a ton of respect as they go through their transition process to move as an FBS school into a Conference USA, and wish them all the best. Anything, we've been in constant contact with them, want to help them through that process, and hope they have a lot of success once they transition into their Conference USA situation. They've talked about the FBS situation. That's something that we can't provide, right? We can't provide them with an FBS football home, but we're certainly happy they're with us for one more season, and then hopefully they can transition well into their Conference USA status.
I was going to boo some students when I went up there a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh, boo! You're leaving them, but I'm like, it's okay. Enjoy yourself. No,
they've gone about things the right way in terms of how they message to the conference that they were departing. There's absolutely zero ill will there. They're great partners. They're going to continue to be great partners as long as they're a member of our conference. And we're going to continue to treat them as great partners. That's awesome. Certainly anything we can do to help them in their transition. I've let Chrissy Raywalk, their athletic director, know that. And we continue to work together on anything that will be helpful to them and to our conference.
That's cool. Well, Commissioner, let me let you go. We're up against the clock, but thank you so much for coming on. And don't be a stranger. We'll do this baseball thing at the end of the year and see how we think about the baseball teams and all that stuff. And we'll get ready for all of a sudden football will be around the corner.
Let's do it. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Well, take care, Commissioner. Thanks.
Okay.
See, that's really, really cool that he came on as Joe D'Antonio, the commissioner of the CAA, and they have a great league. I gotta say, they have a great league.
And Chris and Adam, I mean, their league is like, it's like every single team there. They have the toughness, the tenacity. They play tough every single game, and all the players play tough. It's just unbelievable because I know some teams that Chris, you and I have seen in person, and they've been like, whatever. I'm talking about in other conferences with other teams. They haven't played up to their like the toughness that we've seen. But the CAA, every team there plays tough, and the tenacity level is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
and when I'm just impressed with, Towson almost beat Charleston, and I'm just very impressed with their toughness, their tenacity, their grit that each and every player and team has in that league. That's why I feel the CAA is a phenomenal league, a phenomenal conference. Pardon me, phenomenal conference.
Well, let's bring in this next guy. You probably saw this guy. We talked about this earlier on the show. And this guy was on SportsCenter over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
We gotta say, this is great.
I
don't know. I'm wondering if he did that. How many times does he practice that in his own center? That's the question I want to ask him. Because that was just pure money. Yeah.
Oh
pure
yeah.
Money.
And he's also getting inducted into the USBC Hall of Fame, and I can't wait to see him in about 5 weeks in Akron, Ohio. So let's bring in So let's bring them down when that made the Flying Eagle, and it was SportsCenter's #1 play on Saturday. PBA Tour winner and 2-time major winner, representing Storm Bowling, Sean Rash. So Sean, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and and just talk about how cool it was to make the Flying Eagle, and you were the #1 play on SportsCenter on Saturday.
Yeah, no, what a surreal moment. Pretty cool to make that after only getting a couple practice tries, and to be the #1 play on ESPN SportsCenter was really, really cool, right? Not many times our sport has made the top plays, if not even been the #1 play. So just a really great weekend for myself and for my team and my sponsors and everything else. Really good for bowling too, right?
Yes,
3 days in a row on television on FS1 and Fox, and then to make it on another broadcast as well. A lot of positives.
Yeah. Sean, what was it like having Mike Albee there, Parker Bone III there, Walter Ray Williams Jr., Pete Weber, who you gave him a big kiss on the forehead, after the Flying Eagle, what was it like having those legends, just around there the whole weekend? And you're like, you look around, you're like, wow, that's Mike Albee, who had so many major titles when I grew up watching on TV, and you bowled against Walter and Pete and Parker and Norm.
I bowled against 4 of them. I didn't bowl against Mike. I know who he is, of course. Great human being, great bowler. All 5 of them have an unbelievable resume. I've said this many times. They paved the way, right? They were the greats of the greats during their time and their era. Kind of like the 5 or 6 of us in my era, right? Maybe 10 of us, I would say. You could probably count. But, just grateful to be in that opportunity, in that spot, right? Not many people get a chance to shoe them up and watch them judge us in the skills showdown, then also the next day bowl against them in a strike competition. They still know how to strike. They may not strike as much as the younger generation now with the revs and the power, but one shot, you need it all for the money. I'd put money on those 5 all day to hit the pocket and give it a hell of a shot.
Yeah. So Sean, it's called. So, what was it like for you to bowl against some NASCAR stars at Phoenix Raceway, and how cool was it to actually bowl at a NASCAR track?
Yeah, so this was the first time I've been involved in something at NASCAR. I wasn't actually part of the NASCAR event. I did the first 2 events, so I didn't get to bowl against any of the NASCAR drivers, but I've got to bowl against my sponsor, Tony Stewart, who raced in NASCAR for many years and now racing in the NHRA. So I've bowled against a few of them, J.R. Todd and Sean Langdon, mostly NHRA drivers, but still all really good bowlers. And it's just nice to see, a couple different sports come together and for a good cause and have a great time and put on a show for the fans and the people that show up for the event.
I am a NASCAR fan and a fan of the PBA Tour, like and it's like, I grew up watching, I've been watching NASCAR for as long as I've been watching the PBA Tour, and it's like, it's cool to, it's called those NASCAR drivers, called in their off time. I mean, about like Eric Almirola, yes, they can bowl, and I mean, Eric Almirola has shot a 300 before, and it's really, really cool. So just talk about. So now you're getting inducted into the USBC Hall of Fame. We had one of your other inductees, Missy Parkin, on a while back. So when you got the call, what was that like?
Yeah, just really shocked. It was a 8:30, 9 o'clock phone call at night. They were having a meeting, I think in Louisiana or Florida or something, and was told that I had been inducted into this year's 2024 Hall of Fame at the USBC convention. Unfortunately, won't be able to attend it because it conflicts with the PBA Tournament of Champions that's going on.
I'll be there. So, looking forward to it.
But just, it just shows, or I guess my peers think that I've done enough in my career to earn those honors. I've had a really good career on both the USBC side and the PBA side. And hopefully it's not over. I'm still somewhat young. Still trying to knock on the door, making shows and winning titles, and providing for the family and putting on a show and entertainment for our fans. So just grateful that my parents got me into this sport, and for all the sponsors and all the fans and the friends and everybody's support through the years to do as much as I've done. I know I'm the one that lets go of the ball, but there's a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit behind the scenes that don't get enough of that. Starting with my parents, my wife, my kids, for their sacrifices of me being gone so much, and all the sponsors, like I said, through the years that I've had to help me have great equipment and do some remarkable things on the lane with the bowling ball.
I got to ask you, how's the back? Because I know that's one of your stuff you got. My dad has a bad back, and I totally understand about bad back. Sometimes it just goes out in that split second. You're like, oh God. Like how's it right now?
Yeah, knock on wood, doing okay. Sitting in one spot for a period of time is not great. Staying moving, keeping the body warm is always a good thing. I'm in the gym 5-6 days a week when we're off. Yes. Practicing 4 or 5 days a week as well. Yoga, everything you can think of to just keep it moving. At some point, I'll probably have to have another procedure called radio frequency ablation, where they go in and they burn the nerves. That's what I did the first time.
Okay.
I've done injections. I've done everything you can think of to be as strong as I can be. I know deep down mentally that I won't be one of the best in the world, top 5 like I was for such a long time. But I know at any given day that I can strike with the best of them. So, mind over matter, staying positive, keeping my mind in the right place, and it'll keep me competitive for the rest of my career. So,
yeah, that's cool. Matt, you got a question for Sean? Go ahead, bud.
Yes, Sean. So, how do you treat yourself when you do have that kind of injury? Because I know that kind of injury could put you out for a while. So what do you do to treat it and to minimize the pain?
Yeah, so I had this radio frequency ablation done in November. Took a week off. Then I slowly started to rehab, exercising, bowling, you name it, yoga, lifting, cardio, ice baths, heat baths. I mean, you name it, everything you can think of to strengthen the muscles, not only on the backside, but in the front side, the legs, the upper body, reading, you name it. It's a mental thing more than anything. If you tell yourself your body hurts, you normally hurt. If you put yourself in a negative mindset, you probably don't perform very well. And there's days that are definitely worse than others, both physically and mentally. But deep down, I have to remember that I've had a hell of a career. I've done things that not everyone has done. I, of course, would like to have had a few shots back in my career and a few moments, but you learn and you live and you move on from those, and you grow from them. At the same time, it could happen at any moment. Hopefully it doesn't, right? If I tell myself it's not going to happen, I hope it doesn't happen. So right now, though, I feel great. It's been a good couple of days and a good weekend, and got 3 more days of practicing and training before I head out to Vegas for the USBC Masters.
Yeah, let's talk about the Masters. Let's go back to 2015 at the TLC in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was there, and you shot a 300 game on Yas Television. So what was it like to shoot a 300 game on ESPN back in the day?
Yeah, so that was my second one when I did that. I kind of wish I would have got 9, only for the fact that it took away from my next match against Jason. Hats off to Jason making a ball change at the break and throwing the back 7 to beat me that game. But, you lose a little bit of focus sometimes, the adrenaline getting up at a high and whatnot. The same thing when I shot 300 the first time. So it's really hard to do. I was the first one to do it twice. There's only been a couple guys that have done it more than twice. And I'm hoping I'll have a chance to do it a third time. I really thought I was going to shoot 300 last year on television at the Masters. When I started with the front 6 or 7, but you never know when it could happen. You got to make great shots. And you got to get pretty lucky too. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you could
true.
shoot a
Let's
300
talk
when
about
I'm there. I mean,
Yeah.
when I go to TOC in April, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see, someone shoot 300 twice. I mean, I'm game.
Yeah, I'd be okay with the 300 at the TSC.
Sean, I got to ask you, with all the titles you won, which one is your favorite title? Is it the first one you won in West Virginia after you got out of college? Because I know that was your first big TV spot and you won on TV. Or is it the Masters? Is it the one you won last year because of the back injuries? Which one did you enjoy most out of your career?
There's a handful that come to mind. I mean, the first one, becoming exempt on tour, creating a livelihood, the contracts, the guaranteed money, all that really paid off. Made a lot of sense to really enjoy that one. The first major, the Masters in 2007, the TSC major to captivate the Player of the Year that year in 2012. My win with Matt Ogle, my 14th title in Shawnee, which got him his first title, is very special to share with him. And then winning my last one that I've won was, on my 17th title was actually on my birthday.
Nice.
So a really cool moment having Dad with me, and who knows, that could be my very last one, right? You never know.
That ain't gonna be the last one, Sean. Nope.
Let's hope not, but you never know. But if it is my last one, it's a hell of a last one I'll never forget. And but I have a feeling I have a couple left in me.
You do. I guarantee you do.
You never know. You could win the Masters in next week. And
I'd be okay with that. Yeah, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
And then you can win the TLC. He's called in Akron at AMF Riviera Lanes.
Yeah.
Well,
Sean, I got to say something. I'm really, when you had your issue with your daughter, it was really, it was great that it was really sad that you had to go, get off, you had to go home and cancel and all that stuff. And, you're like a dad, if something happens, you got to be home right away, and, that was, I applaud you for, because a lot of people take a lot of, like, do I go? Do I, and you just left in a heartbeat, like, see ya, got to go, see you later, and I think I sent you a message that week, like, how's your daughter doing? And you're like, oh, she's doing fine. Because my girlfriend and I were like, really like, like, wow, I hope she's okay.
Yeah, no, family's always first. There'll always be another tournament. My parents, my wife, my kids, they come first before anything else. I push them aside enough with how much I travel with bowling on tour, or traveling the world doing clinics, or giving back at special events. So very fortunate that I've got a great support system here at home with my wife, and she runs the house here. So just very fortunate for what I have.
Hey, Sean, it's called, you mentioned clinics. You could always come here to North Carolina where I live. It's called AMF Star Lanes and AMF Sky Lanes in Asheville, North Carolina. And that's where I go bowling. So it's like, if you ever come here to do a camp, I'll be there.
All right. I appreciate it. Maybe one day. You never know.
I know.
Well, Sean, let me let you go because we're up against the clock. But thank you so much for making the time for us tonight. And congratulations on making the USBC Hall of Fame. And hopefully one day you'll be in the other Hall of Fame. So you have two of them, just like our good friend Danny Wiseman, who is Hall of Famer in both ones. And it's pretty cool. So keep up the good work. And you will see you next Sunday, right? On the Masters, hopefully.
That's the plan.
Yep.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me. See you.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Take it soon. See you. Bye. All right, that's Sean Rash, who won his first title in West Virginia, beating Danny Wiseman was on the broadcast that day, and it was pretty cool that he won. Right. And then a year later, he won in the Beltway Classic, and I think I interviewed him as a young guy, back in the day. So it's pretty cool. Speaking of young guys, we got this guy's going to make his television debut tomorrow night on the ACC network. I know right now he's working on his facial. He's trying to get his haircut done. He's trying to get everybody.
Give us a shout out on the ACC network since I will be watching.
We hopefully, I don't know who's the broadcaster tomorrow on the broadcast.
ACC network. It's called.
There's Westler. Hopefully, West will take really good, easy care with him. But let's bring in Matt Tyner, who is over the weekend a tough weekend against over the weekend. So, Coach, win Friday. You do a great job. Shutting them out. The Diamondbacks came back and won it. And then over the weekend, just couldn't get that one run, and something didn't come out. So, what do you guys got to do tomorrow? A short turnaround against the top 15 team in Duke, who basically, like you played against North Carolina State a couple weeks ago, one little mistake, it's going to be nasty, real quick.
You hit the nail on the head. Something that happened to us this weekend that cannot repeat itself is, you got to have good relief pitching. You got to have somebody to come out of the bullpen, be able to shut something down, effectively attack the strike zone on both sides and top and bottom, rather than throwing it in the pizza pan in the middle, and that's kind of what we did across the weekend. On Friday, Max Simpson did a phenomenal job. Niagara is a good hitting ball club. They're hitting about 310, and top six in their lineup, 3-4, 3-4, 350, 350, 450. So they played 17 games. They were 10-7 coming in, or 10-6 coming in, and we felt really, really good to beat a team like that. They swept Richmond in a 4-game series. So
wow.
And that's another opponent of ours later in the year. So we did not discount Niagara. And then Saturday we threw Nabholz, and we thought that would give us a good shot. And it did, but he wasn't as tight and pure as he was on a week ago when he fired that gem against Yale. So they made us pay. They hit the ball hard, and we chased them all day. Then on Sunday, they scored. We took the lead in the third. They came back. They took the lead. Then we got the lead back in the fifth. Then we added to the lead in the sixth. And then we just couldn't shut them down. So if we had shut them down, we would have won that series. But hats off to them. They kept battling, and we just couldn't do it. So here we go against Duke, and we've got a couple young arms that have done it before for us. Now we got to see if they can do it on a big stage. So Duke was the 6th ranked team in the country. I think they might have slipped to the 10th, but hey, they're hitting 350 as a team. They got a 1.95 ERA, or teams are hitting 195 against them. It's going to be a tough night. Yeah. This is one of those games that you schedule 2 years in advance, and Duke's going to have a good program, but you're not betting that they're going to be a top 10.
Yeah, and it's so just talk about having, playing back-to-back nights. You have to go to Duke, and then you turn around the following day and come home and play George Washington, John Sherholtz Field.
This is our spring break, so it is a quick turnaround, and there's good and bad, right? Mm-hmm. The good is we scheduled it for a 4:00 game. The bad is, and the super good, I guess, is that we're on the ACC network, but the bad is now it's a 7:00 game. So now these guys are going to get a chance to see exactly what it's like to be in a minor league baseball bus, where you play every game at 7:00 at night, and then you jump on a bus and you take your ass home and you play the next day. Yeah. So it's going to be one of those times where they go, you know what, that accounting job, probably not too bad. I don't see me having to do that too much. But we'll see what happens here, because it will be a quick turnaround. We've left some pitching behind that will throw for us against George Washington. So there has been a little bit of strategy left on that. We brought everybody with us from a playing perspective, because I want to get as many people in tomorrow as I possibly can, because we open conference this Friday. And these are the last 2 games to get some people some quality at bats and get them tested and just see what they can do as well.
Yeah. And you scheduled it
Coach.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Coach, so what do you think that your team's going to have to do in order to pull off the win against Duke?
We have 6 arms scheduled to pitch tomorrow. Get us to the 9th inning. So give 4 outs. That's all you got to do.
Chris, love it. Love it.
Yeah, I'm warming
6
up.
guys.
I'm warming up.
There you go. That gets you through the 8th. That's 24 outs. And if we have to go to Jordan Payton to close it, we'll go to Jordan Payton to close it. And we'll figure out who can play shortstop then. But that's our goal. 6 pitchers, 4 outs apiece, or more, and just get it done. So go out there, challenge some pitchers, try to throw your pitches, but we can't walk 13, hit 6, give up 11 hits. You can't do that, or they'll run rule us, and we'll be out of here about 8 o'clock.
Okay, so who's starting for you guys tomorrow night?
Andrew Luzak.
Okay.
Andrew Luzak, who was brought in here as a junior college top line pitcher. And, I want Andrew to go out there with the eye of the tiger and try to dominate. He's got the stuff to do it. I mean, it's smooth, it's electric, it's top spin. It's, 89 to 92 miles an hour with a nasty sweeping slider. And if he goes out and challenges hitters like I know he can, he's going to give us a good start. And then we'll start laying them in after that. The one guy that I'm going to pay close attention to is Andalo Santangelo. He's been hurt. He's tried to come back. He's kind of the carbon copy of Andrew. And if he can do what I know he's capable of doing, then we kind of have a nice, strong resurgence in the back half of our pitching staff. And if we do that, along with the quality starts we've had from Simpson, Nabholz, and Siles, if we can get some quality arms behind them, we'll be okay. We will be okay.
Well, Coach, that sounds like a really fantastic strategy with the pitching. Now, with Duke having that low ERA and with them being a top 10 team, how is your team going to generate some offense?
We're going to have to scrap it. We're going to have to put it together, and we're going to have to rely on those guys like the Dickersons and the Wagners and the Heckelmans and Paytons. They're going to have to set some tables for us. I mean, they're going to have to do what they're capable of doing. They've wanted this stage as much as I've wanted to give it to them. Okay, well, now you got it. So what are you going to do with it? Show me what you're made of, and let's go out and put a couple runs on the board and put maybe Duke on their heels just a tick. We can run with people. We can bunt with people.
Yeah.
We just have to make those guys make the plays, because once you do that, then you don't know, right? I mean, we're all fallible. So we've all got some openings in us. But if we go up there and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then this game's going to be over quick.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And Duke just came off a loss to Clemson this weekend. It was a tough series for them. So they're coming in pretty ripe and ready to go, because they didn't play well this weekend against a really good Clemson squad in the ACC. So
I think six faced 10, and Clemson won 2 games, especially that Sunday game, which was, I guess, a nail biter and left a couple people on base in the 9th. Couldn't get that big hit. So, but Clemson's no joke either.
No.
They're pretty tough as well. The ACC, what a quality conference it is. And look at the CAA. It's starting to shake out pretty well. Northeastern's got it turned around. They're 12-5 now. Campbell ranked 21st, 22nd, depending on what poll. So, we're starting to heat up, and right at the right time. Conference starts on Friday.
Yeah, it's called. We actually had the commissioner of the CAA, Commissioner Antonio, a little earlier, and I asked him about how good the CAA, is going to be when it comes to college baseball, and it's like, you could have like 5 or 6 teams, that could have a shot to get to a regional, depending on how good they are, in the regular season and the tournament. I mean, the CAA always, coaches, is stacked top to bottom in college baseball.
Yeah, you're right. Some pretty quality teams And the league, like I've told you guys before, about 5 or 6 years ago, we really took it upon ourselves as schedulers to go out there and schedule tough opponents. Maybe not this tough, but that was our concept, was to try and continue to build the RPI of the conference and of our teams. Yep. And it's a good way to do it. You got to play some non-conference opponents that are equal to your squad, but then you also want to challenge your squad and go up a level and see what that's like. Because tomorrow, fans in the stands, you're on ACC network. That's pressure. We can't get that kind of pressure in practice. There's no way, right? So you have to go out there and experience, and you have to take a chance. You get your ass kicked, but you know what? What you gain from it is the experience of having played on national TV, which playing a top 20 program. And if you've had some success doing that, however little it might be, I mean, break it down into that 4-out thing, right? What if you have 4 at bats as a hitter? Well, if I'm 1 for 4, that's 250 against a nationally ranked team. Okay, that's not bad. What if I'm 2 for 3? I'm 667 against a nationally ranked team. So I should feel like I've got some confidence brewing, rather than, the nice thing about playing a team like Duke is we're playing with house money. There's not a soul in the country. I bet if you look at the win probability, on the betting line for Duke and Towson tomorrow, it's Duke 100%. Well, I love those odds, and I hope my team does too. Yeah.
And so, Coach, with you guys playing this tough of a non-conference schedule, how does this benefit you guys when you do go into the conference?
Well, I think we can sit back and go, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and to me, that's valuable. There's and that's what I shared with them. I said, look, we went down to Wofford. We played 2 tough teams, Bucknell and Wofford. Both RPIs much better than ours last year. Split with Bucknell, should have beat Wofford on Friday, got boat raced on Sunday. Not so sure we didn't come out on Sunday and play flat. Then we went down and played a FAU team, but we put ourselves at that town, in Wofford, we were 1-1. And I said, the last time we were 1-1 was 2018. I said, let's see what we do. Well, we laid an egg. All right. So then we go down and play Florida Atlantic. First time we travel, first time we fly, first time that we are subjected to 80-degree weather. What's going to happen? Fans in the stands, catcalling. How do we handle how do we react? What's that like? We played okay. And then the next day we played okay. And then we got boat raced on Sunday, so come back, regroup. A lot of people were sitting there going, I don't even want to go to North Carolina State. And then we go to North Carolina State and we scare them on Friday. We scare the living out of them, right? Good. Take them 5-5 in the bottom of the 9th, where they have to pull a rabbit out of their hat to win that game 6-5. Okay. Well, we woke them up, obviously, and they came to play the next 3 games and flexed their muscles against Navy and drove, hit 6 home runs. We don't have an answer for that, but what I tried to share with our team was, okay, then we come and we get Yale. We take 2 out of 3 for Yale, and we win the first 2 ball games. So you've already got the series clinched. Can you sweep? Didn't sweep. All right. So now we go to Niagara, win the first game, lose the second game. Can you come back on Sunday and win the series? Because that's what the second season is all about. The second season is winning series. Doesn't matter how many games you win, you got to win the series. And when you go on the road, you cannot get swept. You have got to win at least one, right? True. And for every road series you can sweep, you can you can win, you can stumble at home and maybe not sweep and give yourself a chance to go in there at 500. With 27 games on the slate, there is no 500. You're either 14-13, 13-14. 14-13 gets you in the tournament, I bet. 13-14 does not.
No.
Yeah, so tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night, folks, on the ACC network, and it's going to be a great showcase of Towson, Maryland, and hopefully Towson can pull off the biggest upset in basically, and hopefully you guys could knock them off, because that'll be great for next week when we have you back on Monday. We may have to get you earlier because you have everybody and your brother want to call you because, like with the NC State thing, but hopefully tomorrow night will be a great game for you guys. And I know you're down there right now, but how's the weather, in Durham right now?
Chilly. I mean, it is really kind of cool. It's, we've been teased with that beautiful weather we had this weekend.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. That last game, or that last day that we played Yale, suited Yale a heck of a lot more than it did us. I mean, 39 degrees, 30 mile an hour, same wind inbound. There was 3-1, 1-0. We're lucky we scored 5 runs that whole day. I mean, people were walking around in parkas. We shouldn't have even played, but we did. So then we play this past weekend at 65, 70 degrees. And now we're down here and it's going to be 42 tomorrow night. So can't wait,
Sorry for the cold weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah. Sure.
I just happened to catch the tail end of that last interview, man. What a cool dude. And I think I know who he is, the dude that throws the ball. My son bowls like that. He doesn't really put his fingers in it. He just throws the ball and spins it, right? Yeah. Is that the dude?
No, it's Sean Rash. He still uses the old, the 3 thumbs in the ball, like normal people do.
Yeah.
But does he smooth it down there, or does he let it drop?
His delivery, Adam, is more smooth. Like
yes, that's right.
Yeah, like the old days, when you saw Mike Albee and Pete Weber, like super smooth, when they go through the, but not like the 2-finger guys and just bring it up and make weird noises and all that garbage.
No.
Yeah.
My question for you is, I mean, he's recent Hall of Fame inductee, right?
Right.
Yes.
What does a professional bowler make when they win a tournament?
Well, and sometimes they make like $10,000 for one of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they could win like $100,000 for
$100,000,
for finishing first. I mean,
they get a nice little trophy.
It honestly depends on the tournament. I mean, some tournaments, of course, like the big ones, you get more than the others. But it just really depends.
Okay.
But you're not talking like a ton of money, like in the millions or anything.
Yeah, well, that was my question. I just, I've been away from bowling for such a long time, and having lived in Indianapolis for 18 years, that has a real big bowling following in that particular town. I wondered. I sat back there and I just watched the players, yesterday, the golf tournament, and there's $1 million being thrown at these guys, and I just wondered what a Hall of Fame bowler would be making, because he sounded like a great family man and all the above, and so he's essentially out there hustling, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he is. Well, and bowlers don't make much money at all. I mean, they
live on their endorsements. They live on their Storm, what products endorses him, so he gets money from Storm. Plus, some of them are employees of Storm products, so they go out and like help, do camps and practices and all that stuff. So they get paid, because they don't get paid when doing they get paid when they're on TV.
Sure.
But they don't make enough money to actually so they are employed by Storm, or like you're employed by Towson University. You're the coach of the baseball team, but during the off season, you go out and do some, charity work or something just to make to show folks that Towson is a great institution besides baseball, and you can get a good education.
Absolutely. And I will definitely plug you guys if I get a shot tomorrow night.
Thank you. I'll be watching.
Thank you, Coach.
I'll be watching, Coach.
That'll be great.
Thanks.
Hey, Chris, Adam, and Matt, thanks for having me on last night. And Chris, get a haircut.
Yeah, thank you.
I told him today, I did the ACC network interview today, and I said, why don't you mic me up? And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, throw a mic. If y'all laugh. So I did a podcast with Walter Beatty, and one of the guys that will broadcast tomorrow, said, I heard the podcast. He goes, I thought you did a good job. I said, mic me up, man. Put a mic on me. I said, let's go. We'll have some fun with this, but I don't think they bid on the idea. So
well, that would have been good.
You know what you do? You go to like Walgreens tomorrow before you get there, and like get like a little piece of paper, and like when you're in the dugout, go.
There we go, Chris, Adam, Matt. There, hi boys.
You heard of him radio? Woo! You get to get one little spot on TV. I'll be like, yeah.
There you go. There you
Right.
go. Brought to you by Herb FM. There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
Herb FM Sports Radio. Here we are.
Exactly.
Well, I know, Coach. Well, so you said you watched the Players yesterday?
Yeah. Well, when I got home, I did. Yeah.
Okay. So what? Okay, what do you think of Scotty Scheffler making history, the first player ever in golf to win back-to-back Player Championships?
It's funny. I remember him coming on tour, I don't know what, 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer. And he has that distinct swing, right? Where he loses his back foot. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's not picture perfect because he's doing pretty well, but he's not, I don't think you go out there and teach people to swing like he does, right? His feet slide sometimes they don't. And, and it just brings back the amateurish in me. I look at him and I like, man, I like to follow him, and to see him play so consistently. What did they say? 24, 25 subpar rounds in a row this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is the epitome. And I mean, it has been so much fun, and to follow him and to just watch him. And, just like your bowler said, family comes first. That dude, I think, is cut from the same cloth, right? So there's a real dude winning all kind of tournaments and ranked number one in the world as a professional golfer. What's there not to like about him? And it was so fun and rewarding for me to watch him and watch him win. So yeah, I was kind of pumped.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, his wife is about. She's pregnant and everything, and she's going to have the baby in less than a month.
Yeah.
Supposedly. I mean, she's doing less than a month and everything and all that. And the Masters, as we all know, is coming up April 8th, the week of April 8th. And so, but Coach, it's amazing to see him play. And like yesterday, his putting is like off the charts. I mean, him making these putts and everything, and the one when he was on the island green on the 17th hole, and for him to almost make that birdie, I almost busted through the roof when he was that close to making that birdie. I mean, that's an incredible shot.
Exactly. And I couldn't help but feel a little bit of sorrow for Wyndham Clark. I mean, chunked that one Saturday, right? He would never do that, right? And then, for goodness sakes, how much of that ball was down in the cup on 18 when it rimmed back out?
Well, I mean, Coach, just like what you're saying, I mean, that ball was. I mean, Wyndham Clark hit it too hard, but that ball was in the hole. I mean, you're not talking like, okay, it lipped it or it burned the hole or, okay, it just slid by. I mean, that ball went 360 around the hole in and out. And I mean, I was happy for Scheffler because I was rooting for him, but I was also feeling bad for Wyndham Clark. Yeah. I mean, because it was just unbelievable. I mean, it was unbelievable how that ball went in the hole and did not go in. It came back out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Hey, before we wrap, I just want to, you brought up Scotty's wife is pregnant. I want to give a shout out to our athletic director whose wife is either being induced or cesarean. I don't know which one, tomorrow morning, starting at 6 a.m. So to Steve Eichenbrot and his family, they're welcoming, they already know the sex, they're welcoming a son tomorrow. So I'm praying for a strong delivery, a safe delivery, and may the surgeons, work with care and precision. So yeah, wish them. We'll be down in Durham. We'll be the last to know when he comes into this world, but we're hoping for great things tomorrow.
Yeah,
exactly. So
we're praying for him too here. So
yes,
we're praying for you too for tomorrow for hopefully a fight away.
Well, thank you, Coach, for that news.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys, man. It's always a pleasure. You guys are doing well, man. Doing good.
Thanks. Well, it's always a pleasure having you on as well. We could
Coach,
talk probably with 2 hours with the four of us.
Oh, one day we'll do that. We'll go break some bread or something. And
sure, I'm game.
We can do that.
I can eat.
Kind of go from
That'd be
there.
fun.
But yeah, wish us luck tomorrow. I know Duke's a tough opponent. We'll give them all we got. I can tell you that much.
Yes, you will.
We rebounded pretty good mentally. I think yesterday we worked out this morning, got ready to go, and we'll see. I mean, they strap it on just like we do, so we'll just see what happens, and we'll go from there. That's why.
I'm wishing you guys the best. I'm really hoping that Towson, you guys pull it off. And you know what? They have a phenomenal head coach. When you got the players motivated, you got them. You're putting them in a great position. So it's up to the players to execute and everything. And I'm really hoping that they do.
And anybody can be anybody on any given day. So you never know.
Exactly.
That's right.
And that's when you pull out the bracket for March Madness.
Thanks, man.
You guys go to bed tonight just thinking of me going, Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky.
No, I'm thinking about this. This is what I'm thinking. Hey, Coach, Matt, this is what I'm thinking about you tomorrow when you have one of your pitchers. Okay, I found this for you. Hold on a second.
All right, Vaughn. They tell us you're a pitcher. You're sure not much of a dresser. We wear caps and sleeves at this level, son. Understood? All right, let's see what you can do. Nice velocity.
You would have that guy tomorrow, right?
Oh, that's Charlie Sheen is one of my favorites. I mean, obviously he's had his demons, but he's still one of the funniest in that movie. Yeah. Oh, what a classic, is it not?
I love that movie. I love that movie all the time. We wear shirts and hats here, son.
Yeah. Old baseball. It's changed. The game has really changed.
Right, exactly.
And there's so much money in it now. It just really has become, it's a business, And I remember, and I'll let you guys go. I know, but I'll tell you one quick story.
Go ahead.
So I'm negotiating my own contract, right? I'm not like our quarterback at Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore. It's just me. And we're talking about $50. I'm gone from $650 to $850. And there's a chance that I could go to AA, right? So my first full year in the season, I'm negotiating back and forth. I go, I thought I would have gotten a raise of like $900. I was a co-player of the instructional league. Well, we've given you a raise of $200. And I go, but isn't like your first year like $900? And he goes, no, your first year is like $800. So now you're making $850. And I go, man, I don't get it. And then they said, well, listen, it's just a game, man. It's a game. So you want to play the game or not? So I said, well, yeah, I want to play the game, but I'd like to get paid too. I think it's somewhat of a business. So I signed for $850, right? So then the next year we're talking about this and we're doing the same thing now, because it looks like I am going to AA, but there's a chance I might go to AAA, right? So I'm going to get another little bump. And I'm like going, well, it's a game. And they're like, oh, no, it's a business. This is a business. See, this is a business. I said, for goodness sakes, what is it? Is it a game or a business? Because if I say it's a game, you say it's a business. If I say it's a business, you say it's a game. So I just think we're in that situation now where this thing has really turned into a business. And it's unfortunate when you see great movies like that show it's just really a game, And I hope my guys take that into tomorrow night and realize that it is really just a game, not to get caught up in everything else that goes around with it. Just go play and have some fun. And afterwards, we'll go get ice cream.
Yeah. For someone else afterwards.
Well, I mean, just go play and play the best that you possibly can. That's all you can ask.
That's right.
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. You know, there's effort and results. You can only control your effort. You can't control the result, babe. You can't do it. It's effort, and then let the results take care of itself. And that's all we can do, right? Each and every day. And rather
that
playing
is
games or, you know, yeah, you guys don't know if this show's good or bad until afterwards, you know, and then when you look back, you go, hey, I think we had a pretty good show, you know, but you give it all you got when you got ready to come on board. You got your notes to the right, you got your notes to the left. Yeah,
I felt like I did
notes
all
in
my
front of
homework
you.
today and got ready to go. And if we didn't perform tonight, you know, I'll be like one of the football coaches. All right, we stunk. You know, we'll work on it tomorrow. You know?
And that's and that's what life is about, Coach. It's just giving it all you got every single day of your life. And if you give it all that you got, then you won't have any regrets in life. Because I know people that do have regrets in life, and just give it all you got every single day. Do the best you possibly can, and for people, and you won't have any regrets. You know, I mean, it's just do the best you possibly can. Give it all every single day, and just leave it all out there on the line. Because you know you only got one life to live, so might as well do the best you can for human beings and for your team and for everything that you got.
Amen.
I agree, man. I agree. Steve Farley, one of my first head coaches I ever worked for, said the only two things you guys can control is attitude and effort.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know, and maintaining a positive attitude throughout the course of your life is a challenge, understood. But I think that's what the good book and Big G wants you to do, you know, to really be what you said. Be an asset be an asset to mankind, you know, and you can do that with a smile on your face or having an opportunity to help somebody, you know, just get out of oneself and be a nice guy. You can win being a nice guy and just as bad as you can, or just as much as you can be a bad guy. But we choose to go at it from a positive perspective and see what we can do. But you guys, it's always a pleasure. I know you probably got somebody behind me, and I'm sorry for taking up their time. But
it's okay.
You know,
we'll let him know. He's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I told him, he's like, no big deal. We will talk to you next Monday.
all right.
All
You
right.
got it, you
Coach,
guys.
Well, Coach, I just got like literally one very quick question. Do you follow the brackets at all?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just real quick. Well, who do you think is going to win it all?
Man, I mean, you know, I'm a Midwesterner at heart. I'm from Illinois. I lived in Indianapolis, so that's 35 of my 65 years. So I want to see Purdue. I want to see Purdue do something really, really special this year. And I know, I mean, they haven't been able to get through much, if anything, in the last couple of years. So I love it. I can't think of their big guy's name right now, but for him to come back, you know, for him to come back, I'm just like, man, that was really big of him. So let's cut the nets down with Purdue this year.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, hey, for all of you that are listening, go out there and bet the farm against Purdue because I couldn't pick my nose.
All right. Thanks, Coach. I will remember that.
Look at Chris.
Love it.
That's great. Yeah, I just told my brother.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some serious truth in that. Even as a family, you know, we had 4 in our family, my wife and two children. We would do the brackets, just the 4 of us, and you know, we come up with some wild number system. You win one, you get 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, 8 points, dead last every year. I mean, it's without doubt. You whoever I choose go against me, you'll win money, big money.
I think I'll use that.
Okay.
All right.
So, talk to you soon.
Coach, it's a pleasure. Good luck tomorrow.
Okay, good luck, Coach.
That'll be good. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
That's Coach Steiner, our good friend here in Towson. I do need to play this before I get our good friend Everett German, who is the voice of Charleston basketball.
What's that shit on your chest?
Crisco. Bardol. Vagisil. Any one of them will give you another 2 to 3 inches drop on your curveball. Of course, if the umps are watching me close, I just rub a little jalapeno inside my nose, get it running, and if I need to load the ball up a little, just wipe my nose.
You put snot on the ball?
Haven't got an arm like you.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Just before we bring Everett in, I did get a chance to talk to Widener College today. They're playing in Howard tomorrow, so here's the real quick clip with the coach of Widener. I asked him about 2 questions. One, who is Howard look like in his conference, the Northeast Conference? And 2, I asked him, I think I asked the players about what's it like representing the state of New York. That'll be next time. But here he is. In 2 days.
I can't compare him to anybody in our league right now. I think they're a really older team, a big team. I don't know if we've had anybody with that type of size. Maybe talent-wise, I think Sacred Heart, because I thought Sacred Heart was really, really talented from top to bottom in our league. Real difficult team to prepare for. I think they're really well coached, really disciplined. They take advantage of other teams that are not disciplined. And then they have depth. I mean, I just finished telling my team about them. They have 3 guys on their team that were recruited at the high major level, and played at the high major level. So that in itself is a challenge. So it's going to be a big.
Yeah, so it'll be a challenge for them tomorrow night at 6:40. Let's bring in the voice of College of Charleston, the Cougars, Everett German, joining us. Hey, Everett, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
Sorry about that. We got a little carried away with the Towson coach of baseball. He was just talking about bet the farm against him on the brackets, and all that stuff. I'm like,
I was thoroughly entertained. Sounds like he's a great guy. Obviously, we have a good baseball coach in Chad Holbrook as well there at Charleston. So I don't know if Towson plays at Patriots Point this year, but if they do, I may have to go down and meet the coach and say, hey, I was the one in the waiting room behind you on that Monday night of March Madness week.
Well, that'd be great. And he was they're playing on the ACC network tomorrow night, the baseball team Towson is. I'm like, hopefully get mic'd up. He goes, well, I was trying to get mic'd up, but they didn't want me to have a mic. I'm like, oh, come on, get a mic and say, like, hey, Chris, hey, Adam, what's up?
Let's just say they probably could do that with the baseball coach, my good friend Pat Scary, who's the basketball coach at Towson.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could probably mic him up during the game. That might be some FCC fines for sure. Okay. I like Pat Scary. Pat was an assistant coach at Charleston under Coach Harrion way back when, and always enjoy seeing him when we run into those guys.
Yeah.
Played him 3 times this year, had 3 great games. We were able to win 2 of the 3, including the most important one, which was the semifinals I guess a week from today, last Monday there in DC.
It was funny when his team beat North Carolina Wilmington. He said, like, hey, everybody bring bottle caps, whatever, to South Charleston. And then some guy goes, really? Some reporter goes, I'm just joking.
Right.
I'm like, oh God! I was like, are these people really? Because we know Pat, because Pat comes on here a lot too, and we're like, come on, people. Pat has a funny sense of humor.
Yeah, he's a great guy, great guy.
He said to me, he goes, when he came on my show, he goes, wow, I'm in great company with a great broadcaster. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm sure you guys probably have had Spiro. He's one of my good friends as well. They're a radio guy for Towson. So yeah, it's just a really unique, small family of CAA, men's basketball broadcasters. You got Mike there at UNCW. You got Scott at Delaware. So just a bunch of good guys. And I'm just happy and proud to be one of them.
Yeah. So let's talk about this first round matchup against good old Alabama. I saw them last year against Maryland on TV, on TBS, and Maryland hung in there. But it seems like Alabama has a lot of big men in the middle, and they know how to score. It's like Coach Oates has them, clicking since the tip off. They pass the ball up and down the key, and all that stuff. So what does Charleston have to do to slow that down? And I know they have to go out. They got to go out west, right? They got to go to what?
Yeah, we actually leave tomorrow to head to Spokane. Just an easy 6-hour flight across the country, and that's a direct flight to head over. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, they have some guys. They got some dudes. They got size. They got scoring. They lead the country in scoring, averaging 91 points a game. So for Charleston, by far, one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the country. We are averaging 11 made threes a game. So safe to say Charleston's going to have one of their best scoring, best shooting nights of the season. We've seen games where Charleston's hit 15, 16 threes in a game. Tomorrow, Friday night would be a great time to have another one of those games because this is a very talented basketball team that Coach Oates and the Alabama Crimson Tide have.
Yeah.
Man, you got a question?
Yes, yeah, I do, Chris. So talk about the CAA championship game with Charleston and Stony Brook and everything. When it went into overtime, I was there for the game and everything. It was an incredible finish. I mean, Stony Brook had a chance to win the game, but they didn't. It went to overtime, and then ultimately it was still close. Okay. But Charleston went ahead and came out the winner and everything. So just talk about that game and Charleston's back-to-back wins and their level of success with these past couple of seasons.
Yeah, Matt, it really was like a heavyweight bout. And you have to really give credit to Stony Brook. That was their fourth game in 4 days, including one of those 3 previous games going into that being in overtime. And, I mean, it was like Stony Brook hit first, then Charleston answered. Then Stony Brook came back, and then Charleston answered. And then Stony Brook came with another run. It just went back and forth. And then, of course, in regulation, Charleston able to hold on. Had some missed free throws down the stretch that, allowed Stony Brook an opportunity to potentially send the game into double overtime with that made 3. But, yeah, Tyler Stevenson Moore, man, he was just special. I mean, he literally willed that team to almost victory. He shot well in the first half. I think he had 17 points. And then Kobe Rogers, who I've kind of coined him the CO, the correctional officer, because he just locks the best player of the opposing team down. Kind of took the challenge to try and slow him down because when you have scorers like Stevenson Moore, you're never going to stop him. You just kind of hope to kind of keep him at bay and not let him really, really, really get going. So Kobe did that for the majority of the second half, and then Stevenson Moore, again, just hit shot after shot. Fitzmaurice, the big 7-footer, he was special, had some special moves, showed his range, knocking down a 3-pointer. So it was almost kind of like the last man standing. And fortunately for us in Charleston, we kind of had the final knockout punch to put Stony Brook away. But, yeah, they were determined not to go quietly. They could have easily folded their tents when they were down, I want to say 10 with 7 minutes to go, and they quickly hit us back with a 6-0 run. So by far one of the most exciting games. I've been calling Charleston basketball now for, 15, 16 years. Yeah. And this game, the only game that I've been associated with that was more exciting and action-packed than the one last Tuesday was the 2018 CAA championship game, Charleston against Northeastern, where Charleston was down by 17 in the championship game at the North Charleston Coliseum, came back and won that game in the overtime. That was the team that had Jarrell Brantley, who played in the NBA, Joe Chile, who played in the NBA, and Grant Riller, who all played in the NBA. So just a special night there in D.C., last Tuesday.
It was. It was a very special night. And, I was I'm very appreciative to be a part of it because, first, I really thought Stony Brook was going to score the winning basket at the end. I really thought they were. But when they didn't and it went to overtime, I didn't know how it would go. But Stony Brook still played very close to Charleston, and they still really had a chance to tie the game at the end of overtime to push into double overtime. So just like what you said about a few minutes ago, it was a heavyweight fight back and forth, and it was just unbelievable the tenacity and the grit and determination that these teams had. You felt bad for the team that did not win because both those teams earn a win and really earn a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. I know Charleston is, but Stony Brook really earned it as well because of their play. I mean, they played tremendously in that championship game.
Yeah, they came in as a 7 seed, but you can ask anybody. They really weren't a 7 seed. I mean, they were playing well. They have size, they have athleticism, they have shooting, and a great coach. Coach Ford, he does a great job with that team. And, the underlying of that game was obviously, Frankie Policelli, who played at Stony Brook for 4 years. It was a grad transfer, starts for us now. So very emotional night for him. He was happy that he got the win and he's going to the big dance. But he felt, for his old teammates, because it was just a situation where, like you just said, Matt, it stunk that somebody had to lose that game. But as a Charleston guy, I'm just glad it was not us, and it was them.
Yeah. So Everett, I will say that you guys have a 12-game winning streak going into your matchup against Alabama in Spokane, Washington, and you guys are going to be playing in a different time zone in Spokane. So talk about the time difference. You guys have to get used to out there.
Yeah, actually, while I was waiting for you guys, I just got the text that we're actually, we're chartering out to Washington. We're leaving tomorrow at 4:00. So, which means we'll get there at 10 o'clock our time, but 7 o'clock. Yeah, whenever I go across time zones, I get all confused. Like I'll let my smartphone, I'll let my smartphone adjust the time there, and I'll keep my wristwatch on East Coast time. But so we're gonna head out tomorrow. That'll give the guys, a couple of days to get acclimated to the Western time zone, the time difference, and then be ready to tip it off Friday night, 7:30 our time, 4:30 their time out there in Seattle or in Washington.
Yeah, and it's called. I will say that you guys have. I was looking at your non-conference schedule this year. You guys played so many incredible non-conference teams. You played Liberty from Conference A. You played Florida Atlantic from the AAC. You were in the tournament that featured at Coastal Carolina. You guys played the America East champion Vermont. I mean, so just talk about Charleston's non-conference schedule this year that the team had to face.
How about this, Adam? Outside of conference play, we lost to Towson once and UNCW twice. We had 7 losses, so we had 4 non-conference losses. 3 of the 4 teams we lost to are going to the big dance in terms of FAU, Vermont, and also Duquesne, who won the A-10, the other being Wyoming. And, Charleston, this team started out 1-3. And I think there was a lot of somewhat panic in Cougar Nation because after last year's team of 31-4, where everything just went well, worked well, ranked in the top 25, you kind of set that bar and the expectations. And this team, it's a good team. It just took a little longer to figure it out. And I really feel like that rough start, you open the season with the win against Iona, then you lose to Duquesne on a neutral floor there at the Naval Academy. And then, of course, the loss to Vermont and the loss to Wyoming before beating Coastal Carolina. And all of Charleston's non-conference losses, including Florida Atlantic, Charleston led with 8 minutes or less to go in each of those games. Charleston just could not close games out early on. They were still trying to figure out the pieces, who was going to be the go-to guy. Everyone was trying to figure out their role. And so, Coach Kelsey calls it, winning time. That's the last 8 minutes, and he divides the games basically into your immediate timeouts into 4-minute quadrants. So you have, they're called wars. So the last 2 wars are the last 8 minutes of the game. And those were, it was just kind of a heart-to-heart, come to Jesus talk about what they were going to do. And Coach always talks about staying consistent, whether you win or lose. He always uses the illustration of he wants his teams to be like a basketball and not a football. When a basketball drops, you know where it's coming. It's coming right back to you. Consistent, It doesn't change. A football, it could go to the right, it could go to the left, it could go away from you. He wants to know what he's getting from his team. And I think since then, and even though they fell to Florida Atlantic, at that time they were ranked in the top 10 in the country. It was on their floor. almost the night after, beating a very good Liberty team. I think the team learned a lot about that, about themselves and what they were going to be. Of course, then you get into conference play and you suffered a loss at home to House, and then you roll off, pretty long win streak. You lose against UNCW at Trask Coliseum, go on another long win streak. You lose at Wilmington at home. And then since then, we have the nation's second longest win streak in terms of 12 games, in a row. So, yeah, I mean, that non-conference schedule, I think, and that's what Coach Kelsey says, the CAA, it's a one-bid conference. So you could go 0-12, but go 18-0 in your, conference tournament, you're going to the big dance. So he likes to be tested. That's what he did, and that definitely helped pave the way for Charleston's success this season.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Well, Everett, we got to wrap it up here because we're
can I ask one quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Everett. So was Charleston more dangerous as a 12 seed like they were last year? And I know they lost to San Diego State last year. It was like 63-56. Are they more dangerous as a 12 seed last year or a 13 seed this year?
I think because of the matchup, well, both teams are dangerous, but this year, this is definitely more our style. San Diego State is a kind of, they're like a Towson basketball team. They want to grind you out. They're going to be physical. They want to lean on you. Where Alabama, they're not as per se interested in playing defense. They want to more outscore you. Charleston has not lost a game this season when they've scored at least 80 points, and Charleston can score. I mean, the Cougars are 34th, I believe, in the country, averaging 81 points a game. However, of course, Alabama, they're leading the country, averaging 91 points a game, but they also give up 83 points a game. So this could be an up and down affair. Obviously, Charleston does not have the size of Alabama, but Charleston has shooters, including Ante Berzovic, including Frankie Policelli, including Van Burnham. Charleston is 10 deep. They literally have 2 starting fives. 9 of the 10 guys in that top 10 can shoot the 3 ball, the only one being James Scott, who looks like he probably could play at Alabama because he's 6'11", long arms, runs the floor really well. Just needs to add some more weight as he weighs about 185 pounds. So, but this is a dangerous matchup for Alabama because if Charleston starts hitting the 3 ball again, averaging 11 made threes a game, this could be the first team to 100 might win this game.
Well, Everett, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and have a good night's sleep and safe travels to Washington, and we'll talk to you soon.
Chris, Adam, Matt, thanks for the invite. You guys take it easy.
And good luck to Charleston. Let's bring a win home. Let's bring a win home for us.
Sounds good.
Yes. All right, see you. Bye. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. We went over, way over our scheduled time there. So we'll see you guys next Monday night here on the program. We'll start probably like same time, 7:30. We'll have some stuff from the NCAA tournament that we can do on Zoom, like we just did that Wagner clip, is next week. So hopefully, and it's also Maryland Day next Monday, the 25th of March. So we'll try to get someone from the state of Maryland to talk about our sports next week.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll see what I can figure out. So we'll see you guys next Monday, and good luck with your brackets, everybody, and hope everybody enjoys themselves. And we'll see you all next week. So let me put this up here. And next time, before we leave, when we leave you, we're going to leave you with we'll finish with Ricky Dorn and the stuff in his nose. So the Major Leagues for Coach Tyner. So tomorrow night, Towson on ACC Network against Duke. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that. So have a good night, everybody.
Good night, Brett.
What's that shit on your chest?
Crisco. Bardol. Vagisil. Any one of them will give you another 2 to 3 inches drop on your curveball. Of course, if the umps are watching me close, I just rub a little jalapeno inside my nose, get it running, and if I need to load the ball up a little, just wipe my nose.
You put snot on the ball?
Haven't got an arm like yours. I got to put anything on it I can.